Alright guys, hey, this is going to be a vlog made in response to the idea that film is actually dying. Which is a really sad statement if you think about it, that film could actually be dying, but it seems to be that way. So I got all dressed up for the occasion and everything just to give this, and if you see me look over occasionally, it's because I have notes that I made just so I can have this flow easier, I guess. So starting with Living in Oblivion. I wasn't quite sure how to take in the film at first, but given, I think, I don't know, like an hour afterwards, I was able to sort of apply it to what we are talking about, and that's like the death of cinema, or the death of film. I mean, and what I mean by that is that throughout the film, there, of course, when they're shooting these scenes, it's on film, and these things that keep happening that keep causing everything to go wrong. It's almost saying that using film is a hassle, and it's not just a hassle, but it's like impossible to work with. It keeps causing all these things to go wrong, whereas digital, like something like a digital camera, could have like helped in these situations. Film like has to be perfect on the first take or on the first go, and you have to make sure it just works, because they're putting a lot of effort into it, and it seems to have like no payoff, is what they're kind of saying. That's kind of what the film felt like to me, is that they're saying there's a problem with these film cameras. We need to change something about the way we film. Otherwise, it's going to be like continuous, everlasting, monotonous like activity of trying to get everything right, and then nothing goes right, and you have to do it over and over and over again. I mean, it was no like Stanley Kubrick. It was 127 shots, but it was still very monotonous, and it was still very like frustrating, as you could tell with the director. But yeah, I kind of saw it as a not as an attack on film per se, but attack just saying that we need to make something better about this, because we've only got this one way of doing it, and it's not always going to work. So that's how I kind of read it. And the second film, Side by Side, I was kind of taken aback by it. I mean, I knew that film was dying. There's no like debating it. It's kind of a matter of fact thing. But it was the fact that so many of the directors had said that they wanted to die, that they don't mind it like being tossed away. But the problem with that is that each like digital cameras are easier to work with. Anyone can use them, and they're made for rather amateur film makers nowadays, and that actual film cameras would require a lot more experience, and they would require a lot more like just time with them to understand like how they work, and like to understand that what you need to do in order to make a perfect shot, to understand what you need to do just to make this scene turn out right, was more complicated than would be with a digital camera, where there could be a lot of edits and it wouldn't really matter all that much. But it kind of got rid of, for me, it kind of means that it kind of got rid of the effort, the work, the determination that would go into a film. Because any film that you know of, like anytime, anything that's actually shot on film, you can sort of tell the difference between a regular thing that's shot on film and something that's shot digitally, because you can tell, just like knowing background knowledge, that it takes a lot more like effort to film what you're filming on film. Film what you're filming on film, yeah. Just because of the fact that anything could go wrong, but you took the time and the effort just to make it the way it is, and that should already gain you props. Like even the worst film that's ever shot on film would probably still be better than a horrible film shot on digital, just because of the effort the director took just to say, here, I went through all this effort just to give this to you. I would still give them credit for that, but even like nowadays, the digital films are, you could give a digital camera to a 3-year-old, and they'd still be able to make like a 6-second film, and you could call that a film. Whereas back in the day, it wouldn't be that easy. It just feels like a death of what it means to be a filmmaker. And in reference to Tarantino, that's also what I felt, is that it does feel like it's dying. You're losing the experience. You're losing the draw of someone spending like days and nights trying to make this film just for you, and then going in and seeing what all those like hours and days and months or however long it took just to make that, and to say that this is what I made for you. And it kind of gets rid of that, because it's so much more easier to make nowadays, that it's kind of like there's kind of a disconnection between the audience and the director and the person filming. It's just kind of gone at this point from them getting rid of that. So I don't mean to make it seem like I'm too like for film. I mean, I do agree that digital is like bringing in some very easier methods for filming, but I am still an avid lover of film and all old films, and I guess I always will be. I've kind of got a bit of a bias against it, or for it, I mean. But yeah, that's my 2 cents on it anyway.